Good morning everyone. For today's video, we will be talking about the cell wall. Some of the key information that we will discuss today involves a little background about the cell wall, its properties, the three layers of the cell wall formation, the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell walls, and lastly, its functions. So without further ado, let's get started. It was in 1665 when a plant cell wall was first observed and named by Robert Hooke as a wall. He even drew it without knowing that what he's drawing is a cell wall. Despite its discovery, it was only in 1804 when Carl Rudolf P. and J.H.F. Link proved that cells have independent cell walls. But before we dig deeper, let us review first what a cell wall is. A cell wall is defined as the non-living component covering the outmost layer of a cell. Its composition varies according to the organism and is permeable in nature. The cell wall separates the interior contents of the cell from the exterior environment. It also provides shape, support, and protection to the cell and its organelles. However, this cellular component is present exclusively in eukaryotic plants, fungi, and few prokaryotic organisms. Now, let's head on to its properties. A cell wall is rigid, meaning it has high tensile strength for the purpose of securing the organelles inside it. It also prevents the cells from bursting due to the pressure of the water inside, or the hydraulic turgor pressure. The next property of a cell wall is it is permeable. Unlike cell membrane that is semi-permeable, the cell wall is fully permeable, so anything that tries to get inside the cell wall can get in freely. Let's now talk about the cell wall layers. First of all, the thickness of the cell wall, all the layers included, ranges from about 0.1 micrometer to several micrometers. Too small, ain't it? Yet it has layers. First on the list is the middle lamella. The middle lamella is also the outermost layer, and it acts as an interface between the other neighboring cells and glues them together. This layer is primarily consists of pectins, and if you want to know what pectins are, they're simply carbohydrates. The next layer of the cell wall is the primary cell wall. This layer is closest to the inside of the cell. It's mainly made up of cellulose, allowing the cell wall to stretch for the purpose of growth. Several primary cell walls contain pectic polysaccharides and structural proteins. It is also comparatively permeable and thinner than the other layers. Last but not least is the secondary cell wall. This layer is formed inside the primary cell wall once the cell is completely grown. This layer provides the characteristic rectangular or square shape to a cell. It is also the thickest layer and permits permeability. Morphologically, the cell wall is formed by layers of sheets. All cells have at least two, middle lamella and primary cell wall. The middle lamella is synthesized and shared by cells that are contiguous with each other, while the primary cell wall is synthesized and belongs only to each cell. Only in some plants does the second layer gets deposited. Most of the wood in the trees correspond to the secondary cell wall. The creation of these layers happens and starts from the middle lamella. That will be the one to be created first, and its growth is always inward, or centripetal. That is why the primary cell wall, which is composed of cellulose fibrils, is produced and created between the plasma membrane and the middle lamella. After the primary cell wall is full grown, that is the only time that the secondary cell wall is produced, and this process happens between the primary cell wall and the plasma membrane. Now, let's talk about the eukaryotic cell wall. This type of cell wall is composed of polysaccharides and polymer. Among its examples are fungal cell walls, algae, water molds, slime molds, and more. But the most mentioned and popular cell wall that everyone knows is the cell wall of plants. And this picture right here is from that type. On the other This picture is a prokaryotic cell, and those are its cell wall parts. Since we already studied its parts in our microbiology, we'll tell just a few about it. So the first difference it has from the eukaryotic cell wall is that they are chemically different. Also, prokaryotic cell wall is composed of large polymers which we learned as the peptidoglycan. Its major purpose is to prevent lysis from happening, or the bursting of the cell. It is composed of two layers, the inner and outer layers. The inner layer is made up of peptidoglycan, while the outer layer is composed of lipoproteins and lipopolysaccharides. And lastly, the functions of a cell wall. First and most of all, it provides definite shape, strength, and rigidity to the cell. Second, it provides protection against mechanical stress and physical shocks that might destroy the cell. Third, it helps control cell expansion by giving a limit to its growth. Fourth, it helps prevent water loss by acting as a barrier. Fifth, the cell wall is responsible for transporting substances between and across the cells. And lastly, it acts as a barrier between the cellular components, which are the organelles, and the external environments. So that's it for today. Hope you learned something about the cell wall, and thanks for watching. This is me again, Nicko Balonso, along with Kristine, Troso. Bye bye!